Coming up this week on the Tiger Football Report, we'll be joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose, as we discuss the Tigers' last game against the Black Bears of Maine. Later in the show, we look ahead to the Tigers' next game against the Tribe of William and Mary. Stick around, fans. The Tiger Football Report begins now. Hello, Tiger fans, and welcome into the Towson Sports Network studios for another episode of the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas. The Tigers traveled to Orono, Maine this past Saturday, where they faced the Black Bears in 35-degree weather. Last season, the Black Bears came to Towson and won. This year, the Tigers go into Maine, determined to even the score. Let's take a look at the highlights against the Black Bears of Maine.
Beckford now switches over to the right side of the quarterback. Gets the handoff, trying to find some room up the middle, 40. Fumbles the football, taken away by the Tigers. And coming up with it for the Tigers was DeAndre Wallace. He took it right out of his hands. Belcher rolling to his left. Tigers with an all-out blitz. Turns, throws back to his right. Has a man wide open. That's Beckford. 35, 40, 45, up to the 49-yard line. A beautifully designed play. Ball on the right hash mark. He does not have a great angle, since the ball's so close here. Snap is down, kick is up, long enough. No good, he missed it wide right.
Well, that's
so
really
I told you he had a bad angle. Frazier out of the shotgun, Victor to his right. Connor dropping back, looking, throws to the far side, downfield, adjustment made. Nice catch by Andre Dessenberg at the 38-yard line. Belcher sends a man in motion to the near side. Beckford stands to the right of the quarterback. Takes a snap, dropping back, looking across the middle. Hit as he throws, and down goes the pass, incomplete. Jordan Minat just smashed him from the blind side. That'll bring up fourth down. The second half, so I'm sure Coach Ambrose probably isn't going to try to do much here. This is a shank, a dead shank. That may be no more than about a 5-yard punt. Back to throw, across the middle, pass caught, first down, 25 to the 20. And Jaquil Vay tried to get outside to the 15, inside to the 10, and down at the 9-yard line with 9 seconds left, and Rob Ambrose calls timeout. But this will be a 20-yard field goal attempt. Snap is high, it's down, kick is up, and it's good. Third and less than a yard for the Black Bears at their own 29-yard line.
They have to get to the 30. You got to prevent them from getting to the 30.
And there's a fumble as Beckford gets belted. The Tigers pick it up, and running with it for the Tigers is Eric Handy at the 15, at the 10, and out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Victor to his right out of the shotgun. Give to Darius around the left. Darius into the end zone. Touchdown, Towson University Tigers, and they take a 9-0 lead with 1:23 to go here in the third. Third down and goal for the Black Bears at the 3. Belcher rolling to his left, fires, pass, caught, touchdown, and the Tigers have given up a score for the first time in 7 quarters and almost 5 minutes. Fourth down and 3 for Maine at the 48 of the Tigers. Belcher out of the shotgun, 2 men left, 2 men right. Beckford stands to his left.
Playing coverage.
Back to throw. Pressure comes up the middle. Pass thrown. Nobody there. Incompleted pass. And give to Sean Cummings all the credit because he put the pressure on Belcher. He had to get rid of it, and there was nobody in the area, and the Tiger defense comes up huge. Frazier gives to Darius up the middle. Darius has the first down, 30, 25 to the 23, and that'll do it. The Tigers can run out the clock, and they are about to go to 6-3, 4-2 in the CAA.
Once again, the Tigers' defense was phenomenal and held Maine to just 1 touchdown. The Tigers made some mistakes offensively, but held on to defeat the Black Bears by a final of 10-7. And joining me now, as he does every week, the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. And anytime you can go up to Maine, which is halfway between here and the North Pole, you got to be happy to come out with a victory because those guys are always physically tough.
Especially at home. Right there. I told you, there's a special kind of person that lives in Maine, that goes to Maine, and the weather, and the weather.
I mean, we walked in, the buses got there, and it was like 55 degrees. About an hour and a half later, it was like 40.
It was cold. You know, they tell me summers in Maine are beautiful. I have yet to see them, but I can tell you that the falls, especially late fall in November, it's cold.
It is. But your team, again, coming up with some big plays. Donnell Lewis had a phenomenal football game. 10 tackles. He broke up a pass, had a couple of tackles for loss, and then the big hit on Beckford that forced the fumble and Eric Handy rumbling down to the 6-yard line, setting up your only touchdown of the night. Talk about Donnell, the senior, because he's been a key part of this defense for 4 years now.
He really has, and he's been a player on the defense for years. Now he's a leader and a director of the defense. Now, while he's not a captain, he is ridiculously dialed in. The minute that the offense breaks a huddle or lines up, he's making call after call after call. He is the orchestrator. Any movement they make, he knows every single check we have. It is, you know, there's a thing called FBI, football intelligence, and that college football is, you know, when you start, it's kind of like college. You know, you start taking classes that are way harder than high school. And by the time you get to your senior year, you're taking doctorate level football. And right about now, he can teach the class. He really is. He's made a lot of mistakes in his career. He's made a lot of great plays. But those mistakes have propelled him into his success right now, and he's running the show.
He also had a great kickoff return that got called back because of a holding penalty. But he just had a phenomenal game. And then Eric Handy, there to pick up the fumble and run with it. He had a great game on Saturday night, too. Your linebackers have really, really come on this season.
If you watch the progression of these guys week after week after week, they're understanding. First, you have to understand what we do. And that's hard enough. You know, where to line up. What is my key? What is my job? But once you understand what your job is within the defense, then you start dissecting offenses. And normally that doesn't happen until you're probably a junior. You know, but you watch these young kids and like, yep, got it. Yep, got it. You know, we talk about learning as one-timers. I teach you, you write, you listen, you learn, you get it, like that. And these kids are one-timers, and they're physical. So we recruited pretty well.
You certainly did. 4 straight games now that the Tigers have had 2 turnovers, and they did it again against the Black Bears, and again, the 1 turnover led to a Tiger touchdown. It's time for us to step aside for a quick break. When we come back, we'll preview the Tigers' next game against the College of William and Mary. The Tiger Football Report returns right after these words.
All right, listen up. Out on that field today, you will be ready for anything. And I want you to always remember, this is the greatest team you will ever be part of.
And when they're asked, what did you do to make a difference in the world? They can say, I became a soldier.
Virtual Wallet can help you be that person who's good with money. See what's free to spend, move money with a slide, save with a shake. Feel good about your decisions.
Tell your truth or dress a lie. Is this hello or is it goodbye? Is this the low or is this the high? Just let it go toward the right. Without the low, there ain't a high.
For an athlete, there's nothing scarier than a torn ACL.
Athletes trust us with their care and their careers because we're a recognized leader in sports medicine.
Get back to your active life sooner with MedStar Sports Medicine.
White Market's ice cream plant is based in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and locally owned and operated. We've been making our ice cream for nearly 50 years. We create roughly 70 flavors of ice cream right now. We use local ingredients, especially our cream, which is from our milk plant. The cream is what gives our ice cream a rich and creamy texture. Now, together with our customers, we've created a product called Peanut Butter Indulgence, which will be coming out this summer. It's a peanut butter ice cream with sea salt caramel swirl, chocolate-covered pretzel. How can you go wrong with that? Personally, I love our ice cream. If you come to our house at any given time, you'll find at least 5 packages of ice cream in our freezer. Our kids grew up eating Wise quality ice cream, and now we get to treat our grandchildren to it. It's been a pleasure for me to be tasting ice cream for over 40 years for Wise Markets, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. The Tigers don't have time to rest after defeating Maine. They have to go down to Williamsburg to face possibly the toughest opponent in the conference, the Tribe of William and Mary. They're on a 5-game winning streak, including a win over then undefeated James Madison in the conference. The Tribe are tied for first with Richmond. The Tigers could get themselves to within a game of first place, or possibly first place if Richmond also loses with a victory this week. Jimmy Laycock, you talked last week about Jack Cosgrove and how he's legendary up in Maine. Well, Jimmy Laycock has buildings named after him at William and Mary, and year after year, this team is on the verge of making the playoffs and getting into the playoffs, and as an added bonus, he recruited you out of high school.
Somebody once said that our record versus William Mary, them being such a good football team, despite all the good teams we had in the past, we just never beat them. And that the only win Towson had for years was the recruiting victory of me coming here instead of William and Mary. And those that knew me when I played college ball probably maybe not thought that was a win. But no, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you're right. He's got buildings named after him. He recruited me, and he basically was a young coach like myself at the time, and was really, really impressive, was really, really good. And he's made history there. He's part of the Williamsburg history and that great institution. But they've been good for a long time. They always find a way. They're either in or they're close. I said this is one of the best teams they've had in the last 7 years since I've seen them. That really is. It's the most complete William and Mary team I've seen. I've seen them with good defenses, with some all-stars on offense or all-stars on defense, but never have I seen them this good, this deep, and to be honest, this healthy. They're one of the healthier teams in the conference, and when you're in murderer's row for our schedule, health is a big deal, and they found a way to do it.
You look at them, and Cluey, their quarterback, is a guy who's thrown 13 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions this year. Then they have a duo of running backs in Anderson and Sabor, and then Dedman is a deadly wide receiver and kick and punt returner. So offensively, we talked last week about your defense. You have it at every level. Well, in their offense, they've got it at every level.
It's good on good this week. And I sit there and I look at what they're doing offensively and who they have, and it really reminds me a lot of us a couple of years ago. They had a talented quarterback that does not make mistakes, a two-headed beast at tailback, a great offensive line, and talented wide receivers. Now, flip this. Carson Newman is the free safety who played boundary corner for them for years. He's one of the best safeties in the league. Probably he and Donnell Lewis should be 1 and 2. And Luke Rhodes is their all-star linebacker that everybody's known about for a long time. They're really, 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 how many reallys do I get before they cut me off? They're really good. There's a reason they're number 7 in the country.
When you look at their offense, is it similar to what you ran 2 years ago when you got to the championship game? I mean, they do run the ball more than they pass it, but they're not afraid to throw the football.
Not at all. And they play with all 11. They do a lot of read zone, and the quarterback will run a little bit. It's very, very, very similar. A lot of same schemes. They run a little more zone than we do. We probably a little more gap than they were. And no, it's kind of like watching a green and gold version of us from a couple years ago.
You had a memorable game against them 2 years ago down in Williamsburg. Tight ball game, and it was a game where, because of what had happened the year before and you had not gotten into the playoffs, everybody felt like if we don't beat William and Mary, we're not going to the dance this year. Kind of a similar situation this season coming up.
I suppose. Different mentality for our guys, though. Really much more different. That after the JMU game, struggling through the monsoon at Elon and being all beat up and not having injuries, and then having to play JMU at home despite playing better, but not good enough. Everything changed, and it really became we don't think about anything anymore. It's just the next play, and all of a sudden we're preparing to win the next play, and that's all we're doing over and over again, getting back to some of the basics that got us to where we were in our earlier successes. And the kids have really taken to it. Some of these weeks of preparation, some of the best weeks of preparation I've ever been involved in. I love these kids. I love coaching these kids. They are a fun, resilient group. They don't care what goes wrong. They just know that we, not me, but we can make it right, all of us. And That's kind of the stuff that, as coaches, you kind of dream of, that those kids grow into that kind of chemistry, and it just keeps getting stronger every week.
In traveling with this team this year, they seem a little quieter than teams you've had in the past. Is that a right assessment?
I think it's humble. They're humble. You're a bunch of backups or guys that weren't even on the roster. And the team before you went to the, won all those games and handled those All-Stars and went to the national championship. And then it's your turn to step up and you go 4-8. You get humbled pretty fast. And it's been about the work. It's been about doing the job, finishing the job, and just getting better. And they've really grown into this. And why talk about ourselves? I tell the kids this all the time. If you have to tell people how good you are, you must not be. So let your work speak your success. And the kids, they kind of bought into it. And they really enjoy playing for and with each other. And that's fun.
Another thing that's fun that we saw Saturday night against Maine was that Darius Victor looked to be back to Darius Victor after suffering from ankle and back injuries through much of the season. Went over 100 yards again for the first time since early in the year. I said to him in the airport after the game, I said, you passed two guys this week, because he passed Noah Reed and Brian McCarty on the all-time rushing list. And he looked at me and he says, I should have passed him a month ago. But he looked like he was back and much healthier than he has been in a while.
It's been really difficult to game plan. It really has. Darius is a different type of back. He's got a different style. And we always cater the offenses to the abilities of our players. But when you're in limbo as to what your player can and can't do, it's really, really hard to game plan that way. And having him reemerge this in the Maine game, and we knew it was kind of maybe coming, but the proof was going to be in the pudding. It needed to happen. And he finally looked at me and goes, Coach, I've played 8 plays and I haven't touched the ball yet. And his eyes are as big as, I'm like, you're being serious, aren't you? Like, this is for real. He goes, yeah. I'm like, okay, now we're talking. And we kind of took him in the shallow end, but in the second half, you could see us become us again. And especially at the end of the game, like, push comes to shove, this is what we need to do to win a ball game. And all 11 guys were there, and Darius like, give me the ball. No problem, kid. Not a problem. It makes good coaching.
It sure does. Coming up on the other side of this break, we'll continue with our preview of the Tigers against the Tribe of William and Mary. The Tiger Football Report with head coach Rob Ambrose returns right after these words.
AT&T presents the strongest of the strong.
Guys, in honor of Rivalry Week, we're going to do something special.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Did you say Rivalry Week?
Rivalry Week.
Rivalry Week.
Rivalry Week.
Rivalry Week.
Rivalry Week.
Rivalry.
Guys, it's Rivalry Week.
Strong enunciation. Desmond wins.
Who's strong enough to watch the college football playoff with Bo? Get stronger with AT&T, the network with the nation's strongest 4G LTE signal.
Brian Vickers, Aaron's sponsored driver. He doesn't just love racing, he lives it.
We got the paper! Woo!
His pit crew follows him everywhere. Oddly, so does his boss.
Right, sign that.
And his passion for racing is rivaled only by his passion for errands.
No credit needed. I'll take it.
Congrats.
Aaron's makes owning easy through lease ownership, so you can own the life you want.
When cold refreshment calls, Coors Light answers. Frost brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. I'm Spiro Morekas, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. This Saturday, the Tigers heading down to Williamsburg, Virginia, where they will take on the Tribe of William and Mary at Zabel Stadium. Kickoff is at 1:30. Coach, your defense has been playing just tremendously the last 4 weeks of the season. You're taking care of the ball offensively, but you haven't really put up a lot of points the last 2 weeks. 19 against Delaware and 10 against Maine.
Yes, which if I wouldn't be in the streak of not cutting my hair because we're winning, I'd probably get to see more gray. It's been frustrating, and part of it is you can't shut your eyes or turn your back on one of your best offensive weapons. He's not out, but he's not in. It makes hard to game plan that way. It makes hard. You can say, okay, well, we're not going to play him. We're going to play the other kid, and we're going to play to his strengths. But Darius can play. So it's really, really difficult. Not to mention that if you think about this, the last 3 weeks have been the 3 best defenses in the conference.
True.
So we're facing the best they got, and we're piecemealing our way through this. So there's a different attitude in trying to score as many points as there is in trying to have an offense that helps you win the game. And before you can win the game, you better not lose the game. And you go back to the year past, many times we would drive length of the field, turn the ball over in the red zone. Drive length of the field, have a penalty. So that we've gotten better in that. But right now, we're making too many mistakes. We'll get on a roll and we'll get off schedule. We'll put ourselves in great position. Like you said, great kickoff return. Puts us inside, the 30, the 20, right? Call it all the way back for holding. And we're just not that good with the pieces we got left to do what we want to do when we want to do it. We can't be off schedule. When we're on schedule, yeah, we look pretty sexy. But this is something that now when Sam Evans is starting to come back, Darius is starting to come back, and you will notice I'm starting to feel more comfortable with what we may be able to do offensively, and I think that's going to show up on Saturday.
The other thing, the offense has not turned the ball over. I mean, Connor did throw an interception last week, but the ball hit off of somebody's hand and went up in the air and was hanging up there for 20 seconds, I think. But and you can see that he's much more comfortable and much more of a leader. There was a point last week where he got upset in the Maine game. He got upset and was showing kind of a fire in the huddle that you did not see last year.
Correct. And last year was his first year as a starter. And while he was really good at stepping in and leading us in times of unknowns, when Peter got hurt and he would step in and run the show for a little bit, or we'd create packages for him so he could play as a dual threat quarterback. It's different than being in charge of everything. It's like being an offensive coordinator versus being a head coach. It's a big difference. So and also it's the maturity of him. He's a 5th-year senior. He's in grad school. He's been to the circus. He's seen the puppet show and the strings. He knows what's important, what's not important. And defensively, as he looks at a defense, he has great, great coach-like eyes and understanding. He's not going to make dumb mistakes. He's going to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But he's seen so much that the mistakes are lessened, and it's putting him in a position of confidence. And the other 10 guys, when he's in the huddle, he's the boss. It's his show. It's his team. And there's no question about it. You say what you want about Darius, and God love him. Connor's running that show. And we're having a lot of success because of it.
Not to scare you, but you know this. You mentioned you've been playing great defenses the last 3 weeks. Well, you got another one this week because they and you are among the tops in the conference and the nation. Both are top 20 defenses in the country. What is it about William and Mary's, if you can compare them, say, to Maine's defense or to Delaware's defense and what you've seen the last couple of weeks?
Maine and Delaware were extremely strong. Like their front 7 guys are big, strong, and especially their linemen, powerful human beings. And mostly older, mostly juniors and seniors. You're not going to get the same kind of thing out of William and Mary's defense. You're going to get 11 guys who understand their scheme extremely well. Not that they're not strong. They got a couple really strong dudes. But 11 guys that know their scheme, and they're smart. They know their scheme inside and out. They don't make mistakes in alignment. They don't make mistakes in technique. And once they have that down, just like I said, flip it in reference to Donnell, now they're dissecting you. And they do a great job game planning and understanding what you're doing before you do it. Great anticipation. They got one of the best linebackers in the league and the best free safety in the league. Great corners that keep everything down, keep you from making big plays. They play well as 11. It sounds kind of familiar.
So your brother, the offensive coordinator, probably not getting a lot of sleep this week.
No, not at all. We did have a conversation that we're doing a good job putting us in position to win football games, but we need to score more points. And that, we've been through a lull in who we had to play and who was playing for us. But these are the parts that we got. We got to find a way to put more points on the board. We're going to have to do that to beat a great William & Mary team.
And defensively, you guys have to continue to play the way you've played the last few weeks against an offense that does put up a lot of points.
They do. I mean,
and the last thing you want to do is get into a track meet.
Right. We're not. I don't know if we're in the position to be able to physically keep up in a track meet. Not yet. We get a couple more guys back maybe in a week that will allow us to do that. But no, we're going to have to play really sound football in all three phases. Cannot give up big plays on defense. Cannot do it. And if we give up big plays, we better be holding them to field goals and touchdowns instead of touchdowns in the red zone.
The other thing that your team has done very well this year is not be penalized a lot. You are third in the league in fewest penalty yards per game. That's something that has to tell you. It tells you something about your players, that they are playing disciplined football.
It does, and disciplined football gives you a position to be successful. If you're constantly going backwards, it's very, very hard to go forward. And our guys are mature in this aspect. They know what to do, what not to do, and when to do it. And we're not perfect now. We've made some really key dumb mistakes that have hurt us badly. But on the whole, especially in compared to everybody else in the league, we're doing a good job. The kids are disciplined and they're smart.
All right. We have to take one more break. We will be back with more of the Tiger Football Report right after this.
Isaiah said do that one more time.
Huh?
Isaiah said do that one more time.
Read that again?
Yeah.
We have to take one more break, but we'll be back with more of the Tiger Football Report right after this.
Virtual Wallet can help you be that person who's good with money. See what's free to spend, move money with a slide, save with a shake. Feel good about your decisions.
For an athlete, there's nothing scarier than a torn ACL.
Athletes trust us with their care and their careers because we're a recognized leader in sports medicine.
Get back to your active life sooner with MedStar Sports Medicine.
AT&T presents the strongest of the strong.
Gentlemen, today's feat of strength, who has the strongest profile pic?
That's me, climbing Kilimanjaro.
Strong.
That's me finishing my third triathlon.
Very strong.
That's me. I took it at the mall.
Who's strong enough to watch the college football playoff with Bo? Get stronger with AT&T, the network with the nation's strongest 4G LTE signal.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. Coach, thanks. Good luck against William & Mary, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. We're going to need it, and I hope everybody comes down there. It's senior day for them. It's going to be a ball game.
It certainly will be. As we've mentioned, the Tigers are going to be at Zabel Stadium where they take on the Tribe of William & Mary at 1:30. Make sure you tune into the live broadcast on TowsonTigers.com starting at 1 or CBS Sports Radio starting at 1:15. The pregame show hosted by myself and Hall of Fame coach Gordy Combs. The sideline reporter, Ben Rosenbaum, will not be with us on Saturday because he will be with the Tiger basketball team as they take on the Explorers of LaSalle at 3 o'clock, which you can also listen to on TowsonTigers.com. But we will have our trusty engineer, Isaiah Gibson, tagging along as usual, not doing much of anything. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Tiger Football Report. For head coach Rob Ambrose, I'm Spiro Morekas. Have a great weekend as always. Go Tigers.